Hi there and welcome to, I'm Jackie at Stampingjack, Stampin' Up demonstrator. This evening we're going to talk to you about card folds. Our standard card fold looks a bit like this, A4 sheet folded in half, and we usually present it this way or this way. But I wanted to show you some really simple card folds that can be done, as I say, very simply, but just give your cards that extra bit of wow factor. But before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about cutting our cardstock. As I say, a standard card base here is a sheet of A4 cardstock cut in half. So what that means is a sheet of A4 cardstock like this, and cut at half of an A4 is A5, and it's 14.8. And what I've done on my trimmer here is I've actually marked a line which tells me exactly where A5 is. So I just line it up like that, trim it off, and there I have my card base. Now when I fold, you can score, but what I tend to do is just fold it in half, make sure the corners are lined up, and then just burnish it with my bone folder. You could score it if you wanted to. But there is another way that you can cut your cardstock in half. And that is, instead of doing it this way, is to do it this way. And at this time, doing it this way, you would cut your cardstock at 10.5 centimeters, which is right here. Okay. And then that gives you a long skinny piece, still a half a sheet, but just the other way around. And again, folded in half, burnished. It gives you the same sized card front, but the way it opens is slightly different. So you could have it that way if you wanted. I've cut that there, that way, or you could have it that way. So this one here is what we call a tent fold. And that's the very first fold that I'm going to show you. Can you see how easy that one was? Simply by cutting your card the other way around. So this is the card that I've made using this particular fold. I find this fold works well depending on the kind of embellishments you've got, but with apertures, shakers, things like that, it just shows it off a little bit better. And what I'm going to use for this one is the new medallions die set that's coming out from Stampin' Up, available 1st of June in the new catalogue, available 1st of May as part of a special offer, which I'll be making a separate video about. But I'm going to use it to cut this bit here. So I've got my card base. I'm just going to get my big shot. And this die is designed not to cut out a shape, but to cut an aperture into the card. So all I'm going to do is just line it up here on my card base where I want it to go. There we go. I'm using my precision base plate here because it's quite a detailed die. And then I'm going to just roll it through. With the detailed dies, I do like to roll them through twice, there and back again, as they say. Right, and then when we pop it out, what we see, what we've got, you see how easily those bits just pop out because I've used the precision base plate. Just pop all those out. I could use my die brush, but it's over the other side of the room, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way for now. Okay. So there we have it. Put this away. And then what I'm going to do is to take a small piece of gold cardstock, and with my dimensionals I'm going to attach it to the back. So I'm going to here. So just line it up on the inside. There we go. And there we have it. So now I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, you'll see here. So what we have, as always with Stampin' Up, is a coordinating stamp set. So we've got a small circle here. And I'm going to do this one in a slightly different colour. I'm going to do it in green. So this Tranquil Tide is one of our new in colours that's coming again in 1st of June with the new catalogue. But it's be available from the 1st of May in a special bundle, which I'll talk about at the end. Okay, so... Oh, I've just realised that I've done a different die cut. I'm going to stamp a different sentiment then. Basically, how this works is that the die layers up to create different layers. So if I use just this bit, I get that bit there. If I use this bit inside, I get that bit, but that would be solid. And then if I used all three together, I'd get that one. Okay, but not to worry. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take the other circle image. Yeah. And I'm going to stamp that. Actually, no, that's not the one I want. I want this one. Put that there. And then I'm going to take my sentiment, let's be friends forever. I'm going to pop it on there like that. Okay, and then you can see in the other card I've just attached a few sequins. So that was just really to show you a 10-fold card. Very, very simple. Doesn't require any extra folding. Just cut your cardstock a slightly different way. So that's card number 1. Card number 2. I'm just going to clean my stamps off. Card number 2 is what's called a Z-fold card. You'll have probably seen these around, and they're so unbelievably easy. This is why they're called a Z-fold. Yeah. So what you do with this one is, I find with a Z-fold card, it works best with a square base, but again, it's entirely up to you what you like to do. So for this one, very simple. Fold the card base in half. This is a 26 by 13 centimeter card base, which gives me a 13 by 13 front. Okay, so once I've done that, I've got standard square card base. All we do is fold the front back again on itself. Just fold it in half and score. Or should I say burnish? Again, if you wanted to, you could score. If that was the case, you would score at 13 and 6.5. But I just find it just as easy to do it this way. Then what we do is I'm going to assemble my panel for the front. So I'm going to use this large Happy Birthday. This stamp is unfortunately retiring at the end of May as our new catalogue comes out. So I'm getting as much use of it out of it as I can. It's a single stamp, only comes wood mount, but it's just such a great size and it's such a gorgeous font. It's really, really versatile. If you have one Happy Birthday stamp, this is the one to have. Okay, give it a good press. And there we go. And then just layer this up quickly. Get my Tombow. There we go. I like to use liquid glue. Oh gosh, what's going on here? Get another one. Just 1 second. Right. Let's try this one. There we go. As I was saying, I like to use liquid glue when layering up, particularly with squares, because it just gives you that little bit of extra wiggle room. Just to get it nice and straight. There we go. Got a little bit of glue on there. Pop it off. And then the paper I'm using is from this Eastern Palace suite. Pretty much everything I'm using tonight is from the Eastern Palace suite. I'll tell you all about it later. But for now, let's just focus on these cards, wonderful cards. Incidentally, this colour here is another one of our new ink colours. It's called Lemon Lime Twist. It's gorgeous. In fact, here it is here. When I saw it first, I thought, not sure if that's really my kind of colour. But now I see it in action, I really, really like it. So I'm going to use the small circle image that we've got here, again, from the same stamp set. And when you're decorating your Z-fold card, what you need to bear in mind is how it's going to look. Because when it's closed, this is what it looks like. But you'll want to decorate it all the way across. So you could put patterned paper on here, you could put whatever you like, but I'm going to keep it simple and I'm just going to stamp. So all I'm going to do with my small circle is just randomly stamp all the way around the edge, like so. Remember to leave a gap in the middle so that you've got somewhere to write inside the card. It's very easy when doing something like this, background sort of stamping, to get carried away and just cover your entire piece of cardstock. If you wanted to, you could stamp the whole thing and then just put a panel over it for where you want it to write. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to go in with the black. Can you see how easy this is with just one stamp? Creates a really fun look that's good for masculine cards, would also work well for kids cards, just something a bit unusual. And the theme of the suite is sort of like Eastern opulence, so it gives a completely different look to that, which I really like. I like being able to use your stamp sets to create different looks that are perhaps a little bit unexpected. So there we are. We have our my stamp case just fell. We have our card base. So now the critical part of doing these cards is when you come to adhere your panel. Now this panel could be any size, any shape you want really. It could be a circle, it could be a heart, it could be anything. I've just made it a square to keep it really simple. But you want to make sure that you only adhere on this side of your panel. You only want to stick it to here. So what you do is just flip it over. I'm just going to put glue. Glue is not working very well tonight. Okay, just put glue on one half. Flip it over. And there you go. Z-fold card. Fantastic. And you can see that this panel covers up where you would do your writing, which is really cool. Alright, so that's card number 2. So card number 3 is a variation on this one. It's called a double Z-fold. And this is it here. So again, you may have seen these ones. You can see the basic Z-fold that we've just done here, but what we've done is we're adding another Z. So it's essentially just 2 panels together. So again, for this one, use some slightly different colours for this one. This is another new in colour, which is Fresh Fig, which I think is really nice. So we start again with our same base, 13 by 26, folded in half, and then folded back on itself. Okay. And then what you do is you take another strip, also 26 long. For these cards I like to do a strip that's about 5 centimeters deep, but it's entirely up to you and it depends on the card you're making. But the important thing is that it has to be the same width as your card base. See that? So for this one you fold it exactly the same way. Fold it in half. And then back on itself. So then what happens is it attaches to your card like this, and what you end up with is this box shape in the center. See that? Okay, but before we attach it, I'm going to decorate it. Again, you could decorate this any way you like. You could stamp it, you could put ribbon on it, you could stick embellishments on it. It's entirely up to you. I've chosen to embellish it with some paper. And what I would say to you is, if you want to do that, the temptation would be to simply cut another strip of paper the same length. But I find that once you've folded it, your paper looks creased and it doesn't give a really good finish. So I tend to cut my paper, and I tend to cut it just a ½ an inch smaller. So this piece here is 4.5 wide, and it's going on 13, so it's 12.5 long. So it gives me a nice little border here. I'll have all of the supplies and dimensions listed in my blog post after this video, so I'll put the link in the description below so you can go and see it. So you don't need to be taking notes or trying to keep up, you can just watch. Alright, so we'll line these up. Number 2 and number 3. Okay, so before we put our bid on, I'm going to do the rest of my stamping. Here's my panel, so we'll do the happy birthday, just like before, same stamp, but I'm going to use a different colour this time. This time I'm going to stamp it in the fresh fig that we've got, this one here. Okay. There we go, lovely. Alright, layer this up. I'm using some gold foil behind. So layer it up onto the gold. You can see the value of the wet glue here as I try and just wiggle it into place. And then the same again. Onto another square of fresh fig. Love this colour, it's just so rich. Okay. There we go. Right, now back to our base. So just like the last card, I'm going to stamp the background. And why am I closing that? Because I'm going to use fresh fig, and I'm also going to use Tranquil Tide, which is the green. Again, we start with, doesn't really matter which one we start with, exactly the same, super simple, super quick. Okay, and now onto the green. I love how these two colours go together. And that one's gone a bit funny. Don't worry, it will get covered up. There we go. Okay, so now we're ready to attach our two Zs together. All right. Now, because, yes, it's going to get covered up. So what you need to do is, you have it folded like this, then you fold this bit this way and this bit this way, so your Zs are opposite to one another. Can you see that? And what I like to do is I actually attach this small panel first, this small piece here. Okay. With all of these things, I find it's best to just line it up, get it in the right spot before you do any sticking or gluing. Save you a lot of heartache. Again, now you could place this anywhere along your card front. You can place it along the top, along the bottom, along the middle like I'm doing, anywhere you like. Okay. So then what we do is we fold our card in, and what I want to do is just put glue behind here. So I'm going to put it on my card base like so. And then all I need to do is then just fold my panel down, hold it in place, and there we go. Alright. And then same as before, when you're attaching your greeting now, you could attach it like this, like we did to the easel, or you could attach it to the actual panel, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do that with dimensionals, and all I'm going to do is put some dimensionals across the middle. So again, just be aware of where you've got something to stick to. If you're doing it on the strip, then there's no point putting glue here and here, it just won't stick. And then we just line this up how we want it, and there we have it. Double Z fold. I'll go back and change that and make it straight. But there we go. So where we were on to card 3 already. Alright. So the fourth card we're going to do is an easel card. So an easel card, you may have seen, looks like this. Can you see that? So instead of standing, what it does is it just stands up when it's open. So it folds flat, which is great for postage, and then when it's opened, it just stands up like that. So again, with this type of card, you can decorate it any way you wish, be as complicated or as fancy as you like, but for the purpose of today's video, I've just kept it super simple. Okay, so what we do is just like the others, we start with a card base using black of 13 centimeters by 26. Fold it in half, making sure the corners line up. Okay. Now for the others, what we did was we folded back. What we're going to do now is fold the front in half, but in towards the center. So just fold it in like that. And again, you could score this on your scoreboard if you wanted it, scoring at 13 and 6.5, but I just like to fold it in half. All right, so there you have your basic easel structure. Okay. So what we're going to do is I like to cut another panel which is the same as my card front, and then I decorate this as if it's the card front. So that's what we're going to do now. So bringing out my happy birthday stamp again, we're just going to stamp this in black. Right in the center. That hasn't stamped very well. Never mind, I'll go back and fix that later. Okay, and then we're just going to layer this up onto the black card base. Okay, I haven't left a border on this one because I want it to be completely green like it is there. Okay, so now when attaching, once you've decorated your panel and you've got everything on it that you want and you're happy with it, you need to attach it. So what you need to be careful of is to make sure that you only attach it on the bottom, because it's going to pop up, as we said. So that's crucial. So in order to avoid making a costly mistake, put your glue onto the card base, just onto this bottom panel here. Okay, don't want to go up any further than that. And then we're just going to pop that down. Okay, so there we go. But you can see now that when I do this, it has a tendency to slip and slide, which we don't want. So what you need to do, again, the other thing about an easel card is that you always need to have something at the front here to hold this piece up, hold it in place. So the first thing I'm going to do is just attach some patterned paper. Again, this is from that same Eastern Palace suite, using the lemon lime twist colour. I just love it. It's so bright and cheerful. In fact, I've used most of it already. The paper pack comes with 2 12 by 12 sheets, and it's almost completely finished already. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, I'm going to die cut a shape. Let me just get my dies. So I'm going to die cut a few shapes out of black. bring the big shot in again. Okay. So, what we have is we've got this one here, which is just going to cut out this panel. And then this one here will cut out this shape, but I'm going to layer this one inside of it. And you'll see in a second what we get when that happens. And then cutting plate. And then back again. Okay. So here we have just a nice little panel. And here we've cut out this flower shape. But what this die does, you see this as I pop it out, it cuts the petals that then sit up. How gorgeous is that? Alright, so we're going to use both of those. And I'm going to use a scrap of cream cardstock, which is here. And I'm going to stamp our greeting, which is enjoy today. So I'm going to have this one here. So we want this. And stamp it in black. Okay, and I want to add a little bit of colour to that, so I'm going to take this little image here, which is kind of like a flower or could be a star, and I'm just going to stamp it behind like so, and then take my 1 1/4 inch punch and punch out the circle. I think that's the right size. We'll find out in a second. Alright, then we come back and we take this piece here. I'm just going to layer it up. Okay, so take my dimensionals, pop one on the back. There, card base back in. So then what we do is I'm going to pop this one up as well, just like so. So this then acts as the stopper, if you will, for our card. So just put it there. See? Just stops it nicely. Now, because I had a bit of an accident there, I'm going to fix that. But I just want a little something for the center of my flower. Just going to punch out a really tiny circle for the center here. And let's see, what should we put in the center? Let's take this one. Stamp it in. There we go. And then a bit of glue. See, there's always a way to fix your disasters. So never panic too much when something goes wrong. There's always a way to get around it. Okay? So what I'm going to do is just, there you go. Turn it that way a little bit. You'd never know that that was missing. And there we have it, an easel card. Again, I've kept it simple, but once you've got the mechanics of this, you can go to town in terms of how you decorate. Possibilities are really endless. But what I love is that it folds flat, so you can post it, which is fantastic. A lot of other fancy fold cards are not so good at folding, so. But be aware of that when you're decorating this, is just that this is your card front. Excellent. So now we're on to our last card. I think you'll agree that up till now they've all been really, really, really easy. And the next card is not actually that difficult, but it is a little bit trickier. I'm just cleaning up some of my stamps here so they don't go astray. The next one we're going to make is called a gatefold card, like this. Looks like a set of double doors, patio doors. And this is the only one where I need to break out my scoreboard. The rest, as you see, I haven't needed to use it. So, the theory behind it, and what you need to think about when designing yours and measuring yours out, is that essentially it's 4 quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so whatever measurement your card length is, should be easily dividable by 4. Now, when you cut a standard A4, sheet of A4 in half, you end up with 21 centimeters, which doesn't really divide into 4 very particularly easily. So what I tend to do is I just trim mine down to 20, which makes it really, really easy, because then all I need to do is to score it at 5 and 15. So here we are. I've got my piece of cardstock, and we'll score it at 5. And what I like to do is, you could go across and score at 15, but I like to turn it over and score at 5 again. I just find that it gives me a much more even fold in. I know that the 2 panels are 5 centimeters. Okay, and then we just fold them in and fold in. Okay, I've got a bit of a gap there. Never mind, I can cover that up. So then what we do is we measure our panels. So I'm using Dapper Denim here, and again another piece of that fantastic DSP. Now what I'm going to do to cover up the inside of that is I'm going to cut a panel of Dapper Denim. So 1 second. There we go. I'm going to pop that on the inside. There we are. Okay, so let's just... I'll bet what I've done there is I haven't actually cut down my card base to the right length for you. But never mind. Oopsie. Oh, that's 1. 2. Again. Now I'm attaching paper and card here. Again, you could just stamp it like we've done on some of the other cards. It's entirely up to you.